can we pause and just have a conversation, because there's something clearly going wrong with this country. 1 in 6 Kenyans aged between 15 and 65, that's about 4.73 million people, currently use at least one substance. What do you think we're doing wrong as a country?
In the country, generally, we have a lot of challenges with unemployment.
The average age of initiation is around 16 to 20, so around the teenage years. What's happening around that age?
A lot of drinking or heavy drinking will start in university, from the experience that I've had in the work that I do.
How long were you a chronic user of substances?
So I started drinking at the age of 14, then got into harder drugs at the age of 16. I finally went to address my addiction at the age of 29.
A lot of addiction comes from pain. What were you trying to mask with the addiction?
So fitting in was not easy. I'm coming from a different country, a different culture, maybe different upbringing. Addiction also is partly genetic.
As family members, how do we support someone who's going through this?
So we always tell families that don't give up.
Classmates, because of your support, we're getting bigger and better. Becoming CEO has partnered with Fair Deal Furniture, the official licensees of Ashley Furniture Home Store, the biggest manufacturers of furniture in the world, where the chairs are very, very plush and the tables are timeless, and the only thing more polished than the wood is the wisdom. Here we don't just sit and talk, we strategize and we build empires. Becoming CEO isn't just a title, it's a lifestyle, and every legacy deserves the right seat. Classmates, sometimes in this class, we've all agreed that for you to be a CEO in your life, a CEO for your business, it's a 360-degree approach. And that means not only do we discuss matters and themes around business, but we also have to have conversations around us as people, you as a person, because that matters as well. So I recently came across some interesting statistics and I was like, no, we absolutely need to have this conversation. I think it affects each and every single person, each and every one of us. We're going to be talking on addiction. Yes. And these are the numbers I saw and I was like, this is crazy. Can we pause and just have a conversation, because there's something clearly going wrong with this country. So 1 in 6 Kenyans aged between 15 and 65, that's about 4.73 million people, currently use at least one substance, at least one drug. And alcohol is the most abused substance, with about 1 in 8 Kenyans. That is 3.2 million people are dependent on it. 3.2 million Kenyans dependent on alcohol. It was like, let's have a conversation, because inamaanisha kuna classmates hapa pali tunaumia sisi wote. And I've met this amazing gentleman. His name is Mr. Justin. Thank you so much for coming through. He has an interesting story, a story and a half. And yeah, let's see what we can learn. As usual, we are learning about business and life in this class. So thank you so much, Mr. Justin, for coming through. Umeniambia Kiswahili kidogo.
Yes, kidogo.
Kidogo too. Nice. Love it. Mr. Justin, just maybe give us context of your life. Where were you born? How was it growing up? And then how did you find yourself in substance abuse?
Thank you, Phil, and thank you for the invite. Yeah, I'm a Kenyan through and through.
All right.
Both my parents were born in Kenya.
Okay.
I was born here and grew up here. Went to primary school here.
Right. Which part of Kenya?
In Nairobi.
In Nairobi.
Yeah.
Primary school?
Primary school I went to Banda.
Banda.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that growing up was, very normal. But then at some point I was given an opportunity to go to boarding school in England.
Okay.
And high school. And so when I, in the mid to late 80s is when I actually went and started boarding school in England.
Right.
And there was very different because, there was a lot of freedom also that came with it.
Yeah.
Primarily the school I went to was day school, day for day boys.
Okay.
Boarders we were very few, and we were given quite a bit of freedom.
Right.
After school, we were allowed to go out for 2 hours and come back during the weekdays. Weekends, we were allowed to be out the whole day.
Yeah.
If we had family or maybe school friends we could go and stay with, we were allowed to go as long as they had called in or written a letter to the housemaster. We were allowed for a weekend.
Right.
And I think with that kind of opportunity, I think we started experimenting with alcohol.
Okay.
And not in the first year, but maybe in the second year, started, and it was never really picked up by the school,
Right.
by the school so much, because it would be a one-off thing maybe, and we were also good in hiding that,
Yeah.
and then also started smoking cigarettes at around that age, 14, 15. And then after that, at that particular time in England, there was a lot of changes, culturally, musically also. With it also came a lot of now narcotic drugs, synthetic drugs.
Right.
And then there were a few people in the school who were abusing these drugs, and I found my way there.
Right.
And so as I went through school, now I started also experimenting with harder drugs, synthetic kind of drugs, and very quickly I found myself, even though I didn't know it, in the throes of addiction. That's how it started.
Right. It's interesting that again, another statistic I saw is the average age of initiation is around 16 to 20, so around the teenage years. So what's happening around that age, or is it just the curiosity?
Yeah, of course, it's the curiosity, and probably the chance now to experiment presents itself.
Right.
I found in Kenya, maybe going back a number of years, you would find that a lot of drinking or heavy drinking would start in university, from the experience that I've had in the work that I do.
Yeah.
So you would find a lot of the times, people would be protected by the family or by the school.
Right.
If they were in boarding school, by
Right.
the structures there. But as soon as people get into university, you find
There's no supervision.
there's no supervision,
Right.
the freedom now. And then you find that heavy drinking or drug use would start in university and progress from there, it's interesting.
Okay. This is a conversation that is close to my heart, and it's a conversation I have a lot. And just from the conversations we've had, then you quickly realize the problem is not even the drug, the alcohol, or whatever the substance is. The problem is the person, of course. And a lot of addiction comes from pain. Most of the time, you're using these drugs to numb something. And so I'm always curious to know what, for 3.2 million Kenyans to be dependent on alcohol, for example, do we have 3.2 million people just hurting? Where are we getting it wrong? For you personally, what were you trying to mask with the addiction?
Okay, for me, I think going to a new culture and a new environment, trying to fit in was not easy. I think the system is slightly different from Kenya to the UK.
Yeah.
That you find that in the UK that they start high school at the age of 11, where here it's 13. So by the time I was getting into school in England, at the age of 13, already friendships had been formed in high school. They had been together for 2 years.
Right.
So fitting in was not easy. I'm coming from a different country, a different culture, maybe different upbringing. I found it easier to fit in maybe with a group who maybe were not doing the right thing, to be accepted. And it started like that.
All right.
It's just started experimenting.
Yeah.
But addiction also is partly genetic.
Okay.
Partly environmental also.
Right.
So there are a number of factors that can inform
addiction.
The disease of addiction.
Right.
And so I think partly for me genetics came into play.
Okay.
Partly the environment.
Right.
That I found myself in to be socially accepted, and it just went from there.
Right. So addiction is something you had seen in your family as well.
Yeah, addiction is maybe not just what traditionally most people think, in terms of maybe alcohol or drugs.
Yeah,
There are other
yeah.
types of addictions,
Right.
and all addictions really work the same way.
Yeah.
They're characterized by obsession and compulsion.
Right.
So, it doesn't have to be addiction to alcohol and drugs. There's gambling addiction, there's
Yeah.
food addiction,
Right.
there are different types of addictions. So
Phones, I think everyone is
Yeah,
addicted to their
yeah,
phones right now.
yeah.
And the screen.
And the
yeah.
screen, yeah.
Yeah.
So in my family, necessarily there weren't people really, or drug or alcohol, but maybe different types of addiction
Okay.
were there.
Right.
If you look at the family tree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. How long was your stint with the drugs? How long were you a chronic user of substances?
Yeah. So I started, drinking at the age of 14.
Okay.
And then got into harder drugs at the age of 16.
Right.
I finally went to address my addiction at the age of 29. So I had been using for about 14 or 15 years, by and large,
Right.
a lot of that period.
Okay. Your choice of drug? Did you have a specific one that was this was the...
I went through a number. I mean, alcohol, I started with it, but I never really liked alcohol. But when I got into my first really kind of substance or drug that I used was marijuana.
Okay.
And from there, then I went into synthetic drugs, which were being commonly used in the UK at that time. So there was LSD, there was ecstasy.
Right.
And then probably at the age of 19, 20, I was on holiday in the coast and I picked up heroin.
Yeah.
And now that became my drug of choice for the next 9 to 10 years. I was able to, put the others aside, but the heroin addiction was
Yeah, that was
the main thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. What was your rock bottom moment? The moment you're like, okay, I have a problem, I need to work on myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting, addiction is a progressive illness.
Yeah.
So it's something that comes over time, it starts off and it builds up over time and consequences, and whether they're physical or, financial, or whether they're academic or even work career-wise.
Right.
So over a period of time, at some point that I knew, probably in my early 20s, that I had a problem.
Okay.
But in Kenya at that time, there was very little help. We're talking about the 90s now.
Yeah.
And, there was only one rehab in Kenya at that time, Asumbi in Homa Bay.
What?
Yeah.
In home, not even in Nairobi.
Not even in Nairobi.
That
And
is...
so help and even awareness was very was minimal, because Nakada was formed in the year 2001.
True.
So even before then, as a country, we had little awareness about what addiction is, and and even the options for help were very limited, So, but when I was about 23, I think I'd been taking drugs for about 8 or 9 years. It dawned on me that I had a problem.
Yeah.
But now, knowing that you have a problem and then the willingness to do something about it are different things, you see.
Yeah.
And that was when I first knew. Probably from the age of about 26, I was not actually enjoying or really getting
High.
any high from heroin, and so I was deeply unhappy, but I didn't know what to do. I tried once or twice to stop using, and it had never worked. I tried alone.
Okay.
And that's usually what most people do in the beginning. One tries to stop alone.
Yeah.
And that didn't work, maybe a few days a week.
Right.
There was a period where I had about 3 months, but it was very difficult. I was not at peace, I wasn't able to concentrate. I wasn't able to really function properly.
Yeah.
And so I always resorted going back to my drug of choice. And it wasn't finally until early 2003 when I found myself at my rock bottom.
Okay.
And I went into rehab here in Nairobi in February 2003.
February 2003. Yeah. When you say rock bottom, describe for us that scenario, that day, that you were like, okay, this is it. I'm headed straight to the rehab.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, at the time I thought it was the worst day of my life.
Okay.
But I had no choice, put it that way. I went into rehab on an involuntary basis.
Okay. Okay.
It was a very difficult time in my life. And,
yeah.
But yeah, it was not easy at all.
Mm-hmm.
And my first few days in rehab here, you know, I just thought, is this really going to be the end of it, you know?
Right.
I had a lot of guilt and shame,
Okay.
you know, not just about my using and the impact it had on other people, you know,
Yeah.
especially my family, but you know, there was a lot of guilt and shame, but really I had no choice. The circumstances I found myself in.
Yeah. Right. So you go through rehab, you get out. I want you to tell us the story of Eden. And what is Eden?
Okay.
And you know, how did that start about?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah, it was interesting because when I was in rehab, I was actually there for 6 months. My addiction was so severe, you know, that
Yeah.
between my family and the people who were running the rehab said, look, you need about 6 months.
Wow.
I met someone who had a similar journey to me,
Okay.
called Boniface
All right.
Durango, and we met when I was in rehab, and he was also trying to get clean from a similar substance, and you know, we started talking about starting maybe a halfway house to help people, because in Kenya at that time there were still very few treatment centers, rehabilitation centers. There were
Right.
at that time probably maybe 4 or 5 that were known.
Mm-hmm.
Help was still very, you know, it wasn't really readily available. There were very few centers at that time. And we decided that, you know, also, okay, you have the rehabilitation phase, but once you leave, you're going back to the same kind of environment.
Yeah.
And the same, you know, was causing a lot of people to relapse, you know.
Right.
And meeting the old friends, going back to the families who maybe still had the same attitudes,
Yeah.
you know, as when you went in. So that's why we decided when we did our research, halfway houses in different other countries were helping people now bridge that gap from leaving rehab but going back to society from a safe environment, you know,
Yeah.
with a kind of structured kind of program. So we looked at that and we discussed it at that time, you know, and so that's where the idea of Eden was born in 2003, actually.
Okay.
When I was still in rehab, or just after leaving rehab, we had these conversations, and yeah, that's where the idea was born.
Right. What is Eden?
Okay.
Yeah.
So Eden came, you know, we started actually the halfway house in March 2008.
Halfway house.
A halfway house.
It's a term I mostly hear in movies.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a halfway house and a rehabilitation center? Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, this was really the first halfway house in Kenya, and even the region, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a common phrase I've heard. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, halfway houses had existed in the West, America, Europe, Australia. And basically, there were places where once someone has left rehab, they would come and still, you know, somewhere where they could stay,
Yeah.
but now reintegrate back to society. So from there, they would start going out to look for maybe a college or some form of education that they could restart. Maybe for some people could start looking for jobs from there. In some cases, you find people still have jobs and they still have maybe colleges they're attending, so they're able to actually go out, do something, be active, and come back.
Right.
But still within a structured environment where there are rules, where there's still ongoing therapy,
Right.
individual therapy, where there's still group therapy.
Yeah.
So it's really a safe place for people to transition back to society.
Okay.
So it's usually the place where one comes after rehab.
So a halfway house, that's where you go after rehab.
Yeah.
I know you've just touched on it briefly, but yeah, what does that process look like? Like a day-to-day structured program. What does it look like? The counseling and then the reintegration program.
Okay.
Yeah.
So each individual, you know, we have a history and a treatment plan for them. Yeah. So, but you know, a general day would be that people wake up early in the morning, 7 o'clock.
Okay.
And people start planning their day, you know. For some people, they have to go out. They have to go out and go to college. Some have to go to work or to look for some activity.
Yeah.
Some people will be going out to maybe attend an AA meeting. So really the day starts there. So they have breakfast. Now, people who have to go will have gone, but for the people who are within and maybe don't have something on that particular day, we have a morning meditation at 9 o'clock for about 45 minutes.
All right.
And it's a certain format that we follow. There's a
Okay.
reading we do from a book, certain readings,
Okay.
meditation. Each person has a chance to share about their day,
Right.
what they would like to achieve, maybe what they're grateful for.
Right.
And then, so for the people still within the facility after that, they are allowed to now have some free time, maybe to catch up on personal matters.
Right.
On certain days, we then have another group therapy for the people who are there from 11:30 to 1. And then the main group therapy of the day is at 5 o'clock in the evening when people are coming back from their day.
Right.
And that is a chance for people to share about how their day has been. There are certain topics we will discuss within that meeting, depending on what day of the week it is.
Okay.
And then after that, people share with each other how their day was, have dinner, maybe watch some news, and then after that, go to sleep. But also within that, we still have individual therapy ongoing.
Right.
We're still, with each individual now focusing what their individual treatment plan would be. Some might have to still see a doctor.
Okay.
Some are taking medication.
Right.
Sometimes we have to have family therapy, so families will come in, and have a family therapy session. So yeah, it's quite involving.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
What are the common challenges you find in each? How do you call them? I don't call them clients. What term do you use for the people you're staying with that you're rehabilitating?
Yeah.
What are the common challenges as they try to reintegrate into society that you find that they struggle with?
Okay. Yeah. Again, it depends on individual to individual, but of course, trying to prevent relapse is always
top.
the top. So we always say, look, you have to prioritize your recovery, and so we have a lot of relapse prevention classes, so that is something that we always have to just monitor carefully. But also, again, depending, for some people, maybe looking for purpose,
right?
Because recovery is about finding purpose.
Yeah.
So you find in the country generally we have a lot of challenges with unemployment, with resources. So we find some people, yes, they're lucky that they have maybe jobs, or they're still in school,
right?
And it's how can they go back and re-engage, and with that there's still challenges.
Yeah.
Workplaces, there's still a lot of stigma. So, sometimes the person going back into the workplace, do the workplace know about that they've been in treatment, or in some cases they do. Now, how do they navigate that stigma? And some workplaces don't know. Maybe the person has been in treatment. So it's those kind of challenges. For the people now who don't have something like that, re-engineering purpose now, and sometimes can be a challenge. So they have to start again. Maybe some short courses, looking for jobs. So we help in that,
Okay.
We advise, after assessments, which colleges can they go to, or which kind of jobs can they look for.
Yeah.
So yeah, the family also is can be a big challenge.
Yeah.
And that is where family therapy now comes in. Some families are more accepting of the problem and more understanding,
right?
But some are not, because of one reason or the other. And then you find, you have to address that component, because many families don't understand this disease and how it works. All they see is the damage that's been done, and maybe the money that's been spent.
Right.
So you find, we have to have a lot of family therapy.
Yeah, that's wow. I mean, I know we're talking about reintegration, but I'll probably take you a bit far back, and just because you mentioned family. I'm just wondering, what is it that, 4.7 million Kenyans currently at least use one substance, and 3.2 million people are dependent on alcohol. So that means a lot of families are touched by this pandemic. I can say, how can we better support someone who's going through addiction? So it will be in two parts. One, a family member who's going through addiction. How can we get get him or her the right help, and then after going through rehab, how can we then better support the reintegration process?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually from the start of the rehabilitation process, even before a halfway house, say in a rehab, you know, we take history, and we want to hear also from the family. Then we design what we call a treatment plan. So even when rehabilitation, the process starts, there are a number of sessions for the family.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes you know, with the family member just alone, and then at some point the resident or the client will come in and be part of that process.
Yeah.
So what we call family therapy. And you know, as they go through the process, there have been quite a few sessions that have been done with the family. And then when they come now out of rehab into maybe a halfway house,
Right.
or even for some who go home,
Yeah.
you know, there are a lot of support meetings, not just for the alcoholic. Yeah? Yeah, there are AA meetings, you know, or for Narcotics Anonymous.
Yeah.
So they'll attend those support meetings. But even for the family, there are support groups. It's called Al-Anon.
Oh, okay.
And it's just a basic, the same 12-step program, the
Right.
same as AA, but now for families.
Okay.
And we have a number of meetings in Nairobi for Al-Anon, where families can attend and get the support they need.
Right.
And yeah, so you find that there's a good support out there.
Oh, wow. I don't think I've heard about the support groups for family. I
Yeah.
think that is brilliant. Something I've always wondered is a lot of the time we are told that if the person who's addicted to the substances, he or she does not want to change, it's very hard. You can take them to rehab 7-10 times, and you know there still won't be a change. But for me as a family member, I'm like, you're suffering, you're struggling. This is not good for you. We don't want to see you dying from this. So I've always struggled with that. I love you. I'll take you to rehab by force. Vis-a-vis waiting for you to be ready to go to rehab. And just maybe you can advise us as family members, how do we support someone who's going through this? Do I physically force you to go into rehab, or do I wait? But if I wait, there's a chance it might be too late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good question, you know. And you know, even from my own example,
Yeah.
you know, when I went into rehab, it wasn't my choice.
No.
And but you see, I was very unwell at the time. So, but when I got into rehab and I went through the program, you know, many people have an addiction, would want to stop using drugs and alcohol on their own, but that just doesn't work.
Okay.
So where the help really comes in is when you get into a rehab, you're able to identify with other people who are going through the similar, and also getting professional help, you know,
Yeah.
from the counselors or the psychologists. That is what makes the difference. And the longer someone stays away from substances, the better they become, you know.
Yeah.
And you'll find many times people break through that and now through a rehab program, you know.
Yeah.
But so you know, for this process to work, it doesn't have to be voluntary. That's what we always tell families, you know.
Okay.
And sometimes, you know, okay, fine, people go through a program, come out, some will maintain recovery, but some, of course, will relapse. It's a relapsing disease, unfortunately.
Right.
But we always tell families, look, don't give up hope.
Okay.
And even if someone has had a relapse, you know, we always say the process they've been through has not been a waste, because they've learned something, you know. And you find people that have gone through maybe a rehabilitation program and had a relapse, you know, there's usually a lot of guilt and shame attached to it, because they've been through that program.
Yeah.
And they know what they're doing, you know. And that's where relapse prevention comes in, you know, because, you know, the way, you know, people are always taught to look, even if you have a slip, or look for help, get back into the program,
Right.
get help, you know,
Right.
the support groups from your therapists or your counselors.
Yeah.
So we always tell families, look, don't give up, you know. Sometimes we've seen people relapse, but then come back and
Yeah.
then get better, you know, and actually now start recovering. You know? So You know, we always tell families, look, don't give up help. The process, even if it's been once or twice, is never wasted. You know?
Yeah.
The person has learned something. You know?
Right.
And they're given the skills to also, in case something happens, on how to deal with a relapse. You know?
Right. Right.
And we have many success stories out there. So, you know, there is a lot of hope out there.
Right. Eden Halfway House, is it just one, or you do now have several branches? And how can I get into contact with you guys? Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we have, the Halfway House was our first program, which we set up in Parklands in 2008.
Okay.
And then after that, we set up a number of rehab centers now where the process actually starts from.
Mm-hmm.
So we set up one called Eden Village in Lurkabeti Road.
Okay.
In 2009, we set up another one in Mombasa in Lakoni, a rehab in 2011 called Eden House Lakoni.
Right.
Then we also set up some rehab in Diani
Okay.
in 2018.
Right.
So we have a number of rehab centers in Nairobi and also in the coast,
Right.
apart from the Halfway House.
Yeah.
And anyone who wants to get in touch with us can just go, you know, to Google and get our numbers there.
Okay.
Get in touch with Nakada,
Right.
ask for our contacts.
Yeah.
We've worked with Nakada closely over the years.
Okay.
So it's just look for Eden House, Google
Right.
it, and you can get our contacts there.
Absolutely. We'll also just put a link in the description box where if you click on it, you'll go to their website, Species. Make sure your link iko. Shukran sana. 4.7 million Kenyans have at least used some form of substance. 3.2 million Kenyans are dependent on alcohol. With such numbers, I'm like, I think as a country, there are places we're failing systemically. What do you think we're doing wrong as a country to have such high rates of addiction? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, addiction is a worldwide problem.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a big problem worldwide. So it's not just here in Kenya, but in Kenya specifically, you know, of course, as the population have grown, there's so many challenges, you know, you know, that inform why there's so many people who are addicted, you know. There's a lot of stress out there, pressure,
Right.
a lot of trauma
Right.
out there, you know, but also there's a lot of access to alcohol out there, you know. I mean, Kenya, we are known to be a drinking nation, and, you know, wherever you go, you just find there's a lot of alcohol being consumed.
Right.
So, you know, there are many different factors that inform why there's such a big problem.
Right.
But, those are just some of them.
Is a favorite page that I follow on X, Twitter. It's called Money Academy, Money Mondays, I forget. But they recently put out a list of the 8 most valuable companies in Kenya. Out of the 8, 6 are banks. And then one of them is Safaricom, of course. And then the 8th one is EABL. You know, I looked at it, I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this list, because Safaricom, I mean, if you look at their structure and how they make money, M-Pesa, Fuliza, M-Shwari are some of their biggest earners. So in essence, Safaricom is also quote unquote a bank because of M-Pesa. And we know the core business of any bank, how they make their money is from interest, from loans. And then we only have one manufacturing company in that entire list, and it's an alcohol manufacturing company. And I don't know, I was thinking, okay, so this is what we are good at as Kenyans, taking loans and drinking. And it's just been running through my head. I'm like, are there policies that you feel that can be put in place to help with the treatment and prevention of drugs and substance abuse? You say we are a drinking nation, and I thought we were doing well. I mean, with the Mutudo laws, traveling to other countries, I feel like Kenya, at least we try and control it, but clearly we're still missing the mark. Yeah, are there policies and steps you feel we can take as a country?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way: in Africa, we're quite ahead in terms of treatment
Okay.
and
Okay.
even prevention strategies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you look at the rest of Africa,
Yeah.
we're quite advanced. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but I know recently NACAD have just tried to put in some more policies. You know,
Okay.
on the how alcohol is consumed, even how it's sold
Mm-hmm.
and packaged and things like that. They want to raise the age to 21.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just like the States, you know, that anyone under age 21 can't drink
Right.
or buy alcohol. Now it remains to be seen, you know, how
Yeah.
what difference that will make, you know.
Okay.
And they also want to stop, I think, with this new policy, they want to stop alcohol just being delivered, bought over the internet and delivered to your home.
Oh, for real? Okay.
This is just something recent. So I think, okay, I support that, you know, because I've seen access to alcohol is, you know, I think it's gone overboard in our country today.
Yeah.
You know, there, in my view, too many bars, too many, but so there's that, you know, part where we can try and do better on that side, on the supply side. But I think also prevention now, we've just started doing a lot of work
All right.
in the country, especially in schools,
Yeah.
on the side of prevention, you know, and that there are quite a few interventions now.
Okay.
What
What are some of those?
Okay, people have started going into the side of prevention now, so they've been getting trained, doing courses in prevention,
Yeah.
different practitioners, and now there's a lot of work being done in schools on prevention, you know, because that's really the best time to start, you know.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of work being done in that
Okay.
area. It will remain to be seen, you know, it will take time for us to see the impact of that.
Right. Wow.
Advertising also, I know, is something they're talking about now, limiting advertising of alcohol, because that has a big role to play, especially in the youth. It informs them, you know, and it's a big trigger for many youth to start drinking.
You've touched on my world now. Advertising, that's our bread and butter, and I'm just curious about your thoughts on. I know one of the proposed things is they want to ban content creators on social media from advertising alcohol. So one of the biggest spenders when it comes to advertising are alcohol brands and betting companies. I personally, even on this show, I have advertised for an alcoholic beverage. So what are your thoughts when you see my advert running, when you meet someone like me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I know is that, you know, young people, they're very, you know, they can be influenced very easily, and, you know, advertising is a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
So, you know, my opinion is to try and limit advertising, you know, of alcohol and cigarettes, and because it does have a big role to play, you know, in addiction,
Right.
and youth, especially adolescents picking up alcohol, you know. So I think, yeah, it's not easy, but there are some choices that we have to make as a country now, because, I mean, you know, it's a pandemic.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, so.
Oof. Yeah, that I can see the struggle for the state. You know, on one hand, you're seeing the damage that's happening. On the other hand, you're also seeing the amount of revenue and business and taxes that's coming from the business. But even most importantly is, I think if we look in history, in the US, they're always talking about the moonshine business. So if we make it illegal, then we open it up to a lot of illegal trade, and that means it won't be regulated, so it becomes more problematic. It's the same argument that they have with cannabis. They're like, you know what, there's already so much use of marijuana, and perhaps we should just legalize it, so then that way it's regulated and you're sure whatever you're using is safe. Yeah.
Yeah, those are good conversations, Phil, you know, I think we're not advocating for alcohol to be banned, because we know what can happen if it goes underground.
Yeah.
Well, I think what we're saying, as a, especially in the treatment industry, is there are people who drink normally, and no one wants to deny them.
Yeah.
But what we're just saying is let it be done in a responsible way. So from the way it's advertised and sold,
right,
and accessed and consumed,
right.
there are many things that we can do.
Right.
As far as cannabis goes, the question is, we need to ask ourselves, why have these countries gone that way, And so, sometimes we just need to, we still need to see the full impact
right.
for some of these countries in actually legalizing marijuana,
Yeah.
and see the impact over a period of time. And I believe it won't be good,
Yeah.
So I still believe that it should be illegal.
Okay. Okay.
I think there are conversations that are still happening around the world whether it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Some of these countries that have gone that way.
Right.
And, but again, I think, personally, it's some of the countries that have gone that way is because, it's costing too much to put people in jail. And, also morally, is it really right to put people in jail,
Okay. Okay.
They, instead of putting people in jail and incarcerating them, maybe they should be given treatment, you see. And also the cost of putting people in jail, you jail people, it costs a lot of money,
right,
to the state,
right.
Some of these countries, you have to look at what is the real motivation behind going the legal route,
Wow, I have never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
It's actually more cost effective just legalizing it.
Yeah, and providing people with options for treatment.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, those are conversations. I think as a country, we are still on the right track.
Right.
Me personally, that, it should be illegal because it has a lot of negative impact on mental health. Yeah.
That's true.
If you go to many of the places like Mathari today, you'll find a lot of people who are there. It's because of substances like marijuana or even muguka.
Right. Muguka as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another row now. Yeah. Wow. My goodness. One of the reasons I started this podcast, and I've said this a lot of times, now just jumping back to the business side of things, is I was passionate about film, but I quickly realized there's passion in this business. And so the only way I could learn how to run a business was have conversations with other CEOs, and that's where Becoming CEO was born. And so I hear the good work you're doing, and a lot of us, we start businesses from a point of passion. You're passionate about halfway homes and rehabilitating people and reintegrating them into society. And now you run several homes. I think you and I have start something from passion, then you quickly realize, oh my goodness, these are very many branches.
Yeah.
And so now I have to think like a business person, so as to say. And so just to speak on why rehabilitation homes are super costly for a lot of families. I've had conversations with family members who are like, we really want to help our person, but we can't afford to take him to any rehab home, like a good rehab home. So it is costly. So I understand that. And then how do you manage all these halfway homes across the country?
Yeah, good question, Phil. For us in the beginning, it was just about learning. Because between me and my Boniface, and we had no real idea on how to run a business. We had the passion, yes. So over time we've learned, and the good thing was, Boniface also has an MBA, so there was some kind of business.
Okay.
At least some foundation on how a business can be run. We also got a very good accountant. And to help us, who's been very, very good to us. He's done a lot of the work pro bono for us. Now, the question on why it costs so much is because, just to run one center is a very expensive undertaking. Many of the times you find people are renting these facilities. Then, you have to look at the cost of food, the cost of electricity, the cost of professional staff also. and then also maintaining standards of treatment
Right.
are also very costly.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as a country, I know people complain about the costs element, but it's still very reasonable, because if you go to other countries and you look at the costs that are being charged, it's astronomical, you know.
Right.
In places like South Africa and other countries, you know, they're
Right.
charging probably 10 times what we are.
Oof.
So
Okay.
today, you know, I think we are very fair in terms of what we're charging. You know, if you look at now what actually goes into running
Yeah.
a treatment program,
Right.
and so I think, and we have tried to also cater for people from the, from the lower income to the
Right.
middle to, yeah.
Right.
So we have tried to look at a cross section of society and how we can help. We also have a foundation where we do help a number of people ourselves
Mm-hmm.
and support people who can't afford treatment.
Right.
So it's also a passion of ours.
Okay.
You know, those people who can't afford and access over a period of time, we've helped quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
So we help where we can.
Okay. Wow. Right. What has been your biggest learning on the business side of things?
Yeah.
The one thing that you've had to learn, probably the hard way, but you're like, biggest lesson you've learned.
Yeah. Okay. You know, it's. I think working with what we have sometimes is a challenge. You
Mhm.
know, like I say, we could have done with more resources and charging higher fees,
Yeah.
because what we have, it's always a challenge. But
Mhm.
you know, because of the passion that we have,
Yeah.
we're able to run our facilities, you know, to a professional standard.
Okay.
So I can't say there was one thing
Mhm.
really that stands out.
Right.
But we have got more experience over time,
Okay.
you know. But it's still sometimes not easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much. I think you've just started a conversation. I feel it's a conversation that we're going to have a lot of other guests just speaking on it because of the magnitude of the conversation. Thank you so much for making time, for coming through. We just have one last bit of this conversation. It's a new segment.
Okay.
We love it. Mr. Justin, so we have a few questions that have been left there by our audience. So you can open the diary and yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah, the first question says, are you a sit and think person or a move around the room thinker? So I'd say I'm a bit of both, you know. I think sometimes when it's a very complex problem, sometimes I'll move around the room more to try and think, you know, if I'm alone in the office, for example, and try to get the solution from there, you know. But a lot of the times also I have to sit and think also if I'm in a structured meeting with a family or with a client. So yeah. The second question is, what's the most meaningful conversation you've ever had in your office? I think on that question it would be when a number of times I've worked with quite around 3,000 people over the 17 years that I've been doing this work, and I think every time one of the people who come back to me who I've helped over the years, especially if it's from a few years back, and they tell me that they're doing well and they're really happy and they're grateful for the help they got. Many times that is the most meaningful thing I get is when the people that I've helped are doing well and they come back to me and they tell me, you know, about their journey, and so sometimes that's very meaningful, helping people and you see them recovering and the journey that they're on, and they come back and sometimes even after a long period of time and show their appreciation that way. The third question is, be honest, is your chair designed for comfort or for style? And I would say it's a bit of both, you know. It's very comfortable but also very stylish. So yeah.
All right. Just your final thoughts to this camera. For someone out there with a family member who's struggling with addiction, speak on that and what you feel as a country we need to do to alleviate this problem.
Yeah, so you know, for the family members out there, there's a lot of help available, you know, within the country, and it's not just Nairobi; it's all around the country. You know, it's there are many different avenues for help today, and so it's just to, you know, if there's a problem at home, look for help. You know, help is available. As a country, I think. You know, we've done a lot in this country, but there's still a lot more to do. So I think providing maybe more resources for rehabilitation would be a big thing. You know, there's something called a rehabilitation fund that I think would, if that was to be set up, could go a long way in also putting more resources towards treatment of addiction. You know, because today, you know, I think there are probably around 10,000 beds available in the country for rehabilitation, but at any one time there might be 600,000 people who need help. So I think we need to put a lot more resources towards treatment, you know, and I think if that could be done, we could help a lot more people, because also, you know, we know there are a lot of people in this country who don't even have a chance to go to treatment because they can't afford it. So, you know, looking for a way to help more people go to treatment, that would be a big thing that we could do now. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Justin. This has been an amazing conversation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you.
Yeah, let's go. So